Hi, everybody. I am Isis Asari with Sistah Sci-Fi. Um, and this is Sistah Sci-Fi Wind Down Wednesday, working hard to make Wednesday your new favorite day of the week. Today we'll be discussing Skin by Ibi Zoboi. I'm so excited. My co-host this week will be Well Read and Ratchet, also known as Key. So she will be joining on in a second. So, Key, is that you calling me? Hopefully that's you calling me. Key, I sent you. Yay, brilliant! I was like, who knows how it's going to work today? Let me share it with some folks. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. As you know, I'm working on the questions until 2 minutes ago.
That's why
Um,
I was like, where?
where's the
Okay.
question? That's where I was at. Um, and yeah, so while I email EB, let me know how you are.
I've been well. What have I been doing? I feel like I've been working so much, but I've been traveling. I think last time I saw you, I was getting ready to go see Beyonce. That
Right.
that was a good old time. I had to stop myself from buying tickets for next weekend or this weekend in Vegas. Like, no.
So Blue did the thing, I imagine.
Yes, and Rumi is just an entertainer herself. So
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I feel like I've gone because I see so much on Instagram.
yes,
Obviously, it's not the same. It's not the same. Um, they had "Don't Come for Me." I know it's not the same. I'm just making conversation. So yay! I'm glad you got to go. Okay, so I just text EB the link.
oh, okay.
Okay. And so while we wait for EB to join, please let us know how you're doing in the chat. I can see, I have my laptop set up so I can see that as well. Key, what you reading right now?
So I feel like I needed a thriller. So I'm working my way through S.A. Cosby's catalog. Um,
Oh,
Razor Blade Tears. Have
I
you?
love that.
So I'm enjoying that right now.
Awesome. What I'm reading, I just finished Positive Obsession, The Life and Times by Octavia Butler. So good. Um, my the West Oakland Library Book Club. They
Hmm.
are reading Ring Shout by P.J. Hart.
Yes,
So I'm
I gotta
excited.
read that.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, so I'm excited to read it. Um, and I got an arc of a Quakey Massey's new book.
Which one? The Son of the Morning. I want it. I want it. I requested it. I hope I get it.
Yay! Evie is here, and we are discussing Skin. You look so
So,
terrific. Yes, let's do this for the gram. Let's look at the same
Okay.
time.
Oh, I don't have, I have 50 billion copies. Can you
We
hear
will
me?
hold it for you. We will hold it extra long for you. Like you did this. You're matching
right.
the S in skin. The yellow in skin is what I meant to say. I love it. I love it.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Yes, I am.
Yeah, like the
Yes,
yellow
the
matches the
frames and the
accent and the
yellow.
glasses. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. You're like, I don't even have to try. This happens naturally. How are you today? Are you in New York?
Well,
How's it treating you?
hello. It's been some time. Thank you. I'm like playing around with this so I could add a little, I don't know how this is looking. As my kids say, I don't want to look fried with the filter. I'm trying to
You-
add a little pizzazz to it. Hello,
Oh,
Isis. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm finally doing this. It's been a while, and I am just meeting you. Hello. I'm Ibi, and thank you for inviting me on this Instagram live. It's been a while since I did a live.
Yay. So yes, Evie, we're glad you're here. So I'm here with Key. Key is a very influential bookstagrammer, and she's co-hosted other Sister Sci-Fi Wind Down Wednesdays, which I think was different from the last time you're on for the Octavia Butler one, where it's just me. But to be more in community, I've had co-hosts on. It just makes the conversation a whole lot more fun.
Thank you so much. Hi.
Hi.
So yeah, let's.
Oh,
I
and congratulations to you, Isis.
Oh, thank you. I mean, congratulations to all of us. So yeah, let's.
What are we celebrating? Please let me know.
Evie's like, what's happening? What are we doing?
Right?
So first, Evie looked terrific. That's
Thank
number
you.
one. So
Thank you. You do
um,
too.
the youngins would be proud. Two, Key is referring to this week's Sister Sci-Fi email blast. I announced that I'm the ED of the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association. I'm excited. I'll still
Oh,
do.
wow.
I'll do.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll still do all the stuff I do for Sister Sci-Fi, including talking about amazing books like Skin, and all that stuff as well. So yeah.
Sifwa was something I wanted to join many, many years ago. I don't know if you know, but some of my first stories were science fiction and fantasy.
Yeah.
And a goal was to join Sifwa to vote on the Hugo Awards and everything like that. So
Yeah.
I know a little bit about the all the nuts and bolts of the sci-fi fantasy community from 20 plus years ago.
Not to push Sephora, and you keep saying was, so again, not to push it, but Skin would definitely count. And we do have a YA middle grade committee, and yeah, obviously, yeah, that's me. I would love to have you. Yeah, but no, we're not pushing Sephora right now. Um, let's do, sorry about that. Let's do a round of introductions. I mean, maybe you don't need an introduction, but just so we have it in the video, let's do a round of introductions.
So I am Ibi Zoboi. I am an author of children's and young adult books. And Skin, I believe, is my 10th book. And it is my first foray into speculative fiction, even though I've been working on speculative fiction my entire writing career. And I've gotten some awards, some books have been bestsellers, but I love the idea. I prefer to be the sort of innovative writer that tries new things, that pushes the envelopes, and all the other sort of accolades. I'm cool with that now, but this is the time when I'm writing whatever it is that I want. And Skin is one of those books where I was like, okay, I'm doing this my way, and I think I've earned the right to write what I want at this point in my career.
I love that. I think I read My Life as an Ice Cream Sandwich is kind of speculative.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a little hint at speculative fiction. Yes, a girl who loves science fiction.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. I love the introduction. Key.
So, hi, I'm Key, also known as Well Read and Ratchet. I am a content creator based all around my love of books and amplifying Black voices. I'm a movie reader. I read every single thing, so there's no genre that's probably untouched. Maybe a few obscure ones, but
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm Isis. I'm representing Sister Sci-Fi at the moment. Let's dive into Skin, which is beautiful. I got to immersive read it, so I listened to the audiobook, which is read by one of my favorite audiobook readers, actors, Bonnie Turpin, who's read a lot of my favorite books. So I was like, I know that voice. But also, I'm trying to get a good page, like every page shows it. I was so Skin is what is often I would refer to it as a novel in verse, right? So the words are poetic, but it's also written in poetic format. How did you how did you choose, how did you select that format for Skin, Evie?
Thanks. I do want to add that before I answer your question. Bonnie Turpin and Robin Miles, who narrated a lot of some science fiction novels as well. So I got two powerhouse audiobook narrators to play the two characters in this book, and this it was just the icing on the cake. So this is a novel in verse. It's fantasy, and I didn't always want it to be a novel in verse. I have a version of this that I wrote over 10 years ago. It was my MFA thesis novel. So I graduated from an MFA program in 2014, and as part of your master's in fine arts, and mine in particular was writing for children, we had to do a creative thesis, which was about 85 to 100 words of a novel, and Skin was my master's thesis. And it wasn't ready to be published. Like, I don't think it was ready, or things happened where it didn't become my first novel, but ultimately it is my 10th novel. And I wouldn't have been able to write it in verse many years ago when I first wrote it. So I am leaning on the fact that a lot of Caribbean folklore, which is what it's based on, is the oral tradition, meaning we tell these stories. A lot of them are not written down in novel form, like how you would have some Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology novels. So a lot of it is depends on what region, what island of the Caribbean. The words change, the language changes. I had to make decisions about how certain words are spelled. But because it's an oral tradition, I decided to lean into verse poetry, because what you can do with verse poetry is that you don't have to fill in all the blanks, right? You can leave some spaces blank, because in the lore it's about shape-shifting women. It's usually soucouyant is what it's called, and I know in Black American culture is old hag or boo hag, and it's also old hag in Jamaica. It is loup-garou in Haiti. Now, people, you might look up loup-garou and say, no, it's a werewolf. That's the French word for loup-garou, is the werewolf. But through time, because it's an oral tradition, because it's a game of telephone, and because you're bringing African dialect into it, Lugau becomes a catch-all term for any shapeshifter. So we know werewolves are shapeshifters, but Lugau ends up being any sort of shapeshifter. You can call a cat a Lugau because it's shapeshifted from a human being. So a shape-shifting woman, a witch can also be a lugau. And you, with Caribbean folklore, you can't really like look to the internet to help you with these things. You really have to talk to the people in your culture and the elders in this culture to say, well, what is a lugau? And if you ask 10 different people, they will give you 10 variations of the same story. And for me as the writer, I have to have creative license where I'm respecting the culture, and at the same time, this is my interpretation. And I don't want to approach it in a way that, okay, this is not mine, I have to respect it. This is also mine. This is also, my mother grew up with Lugao store. My mother's mother, she didn't necessarily tell it to me, but this is also my culture. So that's why I wrote it in verse. And because of our oral tradition, and all Black people, all colonized people have had an oral tradition that's been disrupted by colonization.
I agree with that. And I just want to, he has the next question, but I want to bring in a comment where Ariel says, I guess this is a question. Is Caribbean folklore similar to the griots in Sinners? So, yeah.
Oh, griot. Griot is not like an African word. It's a French word that means a storyteller. And that's the name that they give to storytellers in West Africa. The West African, and I believe it's Mende, word for griot is jelly. And it's spelled Djeli. Jelly Ba is master storyteller. So Caribbean folklore is, there's a tradition of, as a storyteller, you're telling folklores. So Caribbean folklore is not necessarily the jelly. Someone who's telling the folklore is a jelly. But in Haiti, it's called a met conte. Conte is storytell, like a story. Like you're telling, it's gossip almost. Met is master. So there is a met conte in Haitian culture. And there is a way, like in West Africa, in Ghanaian culture, there's ago ame. Ago is like a storyteller says, may I tell this story? Ame is the response. And then in Haiti, it's creek clack. The storyteller says creek. The response is clack. Do I have any West African Caribbeans here? Or
I was
Isis? Or
African. So my parents are from Ebe, so we didn't use agame as much, but I'm familiar with the term. But I love the contextualization, and then with creek crack, I remember Eldridge Delta Cat had
the
a story.
stories? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I love this. I love this so much, and it ties well into Key's next question. So yes.
Yes. I'm trying to mute myself in between because my dog is having an issue right now.
I
But
heard your name. Can you spell it out for me so I could pronounce it correctly?
Key is my nickname. It's Kee.
Oh,
My real name is
okay.
Kiana Dasa, but
Okay,
everybody
Key.
calls me Key. Yes. So
Thank you.
no problem. Which I love how that led beautifully into this question because I was thinking that when you were saying about researching and doing internet searches, because I was like, wait, I have Haitian friends, and I was like, I've heard of Lugu, but wait, I thought it was a werewolf, and then hearing some of these other stories, and I was like, I need to look up Caribbean folklore. I read a short story before about soucouyant, and so I was kind of craving more, and like I was trying to find all I could find on the internet. But you thread these succulents so beautifully in skin.
Mhm.
What research did you do on this Caribbean folklore? Um, and where did you depart from tradition? Where did you take that creative license?
Oh, that's a great question. So I don't think I did a lot of like textbook research. I have been, I first read Nalo Hopkinson 25 years ago. And so it was always in my imagination. Lugao stories is part of my culture. So, as I mentioned it before, it was always in the background. But I felt like I got creative license when I read Nalo Hopkinson's Brown Girl in the Ring, Midnight Robber. I studied with Nalo Hopkinson at Clarion West Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Workshop in 2001 along with Octavia Butler. So that was the same workshop, and the two Black women instructors we had was Octavia Butler and Nalo Hopkinson. So Nalo Hopkinson was writing Caribbean folklore into her science fiction stories many decades ago, and I think she was the first to do it, one of the first to do it, to get that sort of commercial appeal. And I know others have done it. Like my husband is half Trinidadian, so he shared books with me. He shared soucouyant stories with me, and I wanted to share it. Like I have like IG fatigue, so I wanted to share this video I have of this elderly couple in Trinidad speaking in Creole. I could understand them. Trinidad is an English speaking country, but there's a small population of French speakers, and because the French is mixed in with African, it sounds just like Haitian Creole. And this cute couple talking about the soucouyant they saw on somebody's roof, and they're accusing the neighbor of being a soucouyant. And they're saying it so casually, like, oh, yes, so and so was on the roof and I saw her fly at night and she came back in the morning. And they're saying it not like gossipy, it's like everyday lore. So that's what, and they were like in their 80s. And I'm like, this is part of our culture. They talked about it like it was nothing. So in that sense, it's like, okay, you talk about it, but nobody actually saw one, right? Really, they'll say they saw it, but I'm like a shape-shifting, witch, really, that's superstition. What we can do with science fiction and fantasy is take that folklore, take that superstition and make it real on the page. And this is where I break from tradition because instead of accusing somebody of being a shape-shifting witch, what if they really are? And what does it really look like to shed your skin and turn into a fireball? This is where I had to do the research. I'm like, what is human combustion? And what could it possibly look like? What does it feel like to, for your skin to peel off and for your insides to combust into fire and flame and plasma and all of that. So this is, I mean, it's not real. I can't look it up in a textbook, but I had to find the language for it. I had to find scientific words like, something different from blood. What is blood boiling like? Lava, volcano, everything hot. I had to research how does one describe a volcano, because this is what's happening when they're shifting out of their skin. So there's the tradition, and then there's the description that I need to describe what's not real.
Right. And I just want to offer an observation, right? And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like, understood regarding having to research the science in the science fiction, but I would say like you also there was research in the cultural aspect of it as well. But you just seem so versed in it. Like when you broke down, like, oh no, let me tell you what a griot actually is. There was research there, but I was like, oh, how did you write this in English? You wouldn't say like, oh, I've been studying English my whole life. Like, I have this thorough understanding. It's innate at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I just culturally, there's a wealth of knowledge in the book and that you bring as well. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if in asking research, like if whatever I research, I'm not going to immediately think about the things that I already knew, right? I'm going to tell you what I actually did research was how do you describe a volcano? So yeah, the other stuff like the setting. I'm from Flatbush. It's a real Caribbean. Little Caribbean is a real neighborhood. Little Haiti is a real neighborhood in New York City. So I didn't have to research those I know those places. I know what a Caribbean bakery smells like and feels like. I was a teenager, that sort of thing. The only thing I didn't know about, like, I don't know what it is to live in the body and the skin of being mixed race, biracial. And it's talking to people. I didn't want to do tragic mulatto, that sort of thing, but it was fairly new to the story. I've said this like on a hush hush during my book tours, but I can say it publicly now. This was supposed to be a Dominican Haitian story. Genevieve, yeah, Genevieve. I was not ready to go there. I went there in a draft. I was like, I don't know if I can do this fraught relationship between two countries on one island where colorism and anti-blackness, like it's just there like a dark cloud hovering over the entire island. And for me to do that the correct way, I'd have to go much deeper than I did with its current version. And I was shooketh. I was not ready to go into Dominican identity as a Haitian writer. I don't know. I don't know if I'm correct in that. In that, it felt a little more easier to go into a half Haitian girl, and a half white girl, than to delve into the Haitian identity and all its anti-Haitianness and anti-blackness. And what is that like? You understand? Like it felt a little too close to home. And I do have like, Dominican because I have family who like was in the south of Haiti where it's easy to get to the Dominican Republic. So there was a lot of movement between the two places that people don't usually often talk about. There are Dominicans in Haiti, who were able to make money off of Haitians, and there are Haitians in the Dominican Republic. Guess who do you think has a easier time? You know what I mean? So Dominicans in Haiti have an easier time. They could traverse between the borders, get goods from Dominican Republic and bring it to Haiti, that sort of thing. All that to say, that's not the story that we have here, but that was the challenge for me in deciding whose story to tell, and pulling back a little bit by telling the story of Genevieve, a biracial girl whose experience I don't have.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you for that context.
I have to say that like now that you said that, I'm like, oh man, that would have. Oh, I would love to read that. I would love to read something
I
like
am
that.
revisiting it in another context where it doesn't have to be just the colorism aspect. It would have to go into history and culture, and the shared experiences, and deeper into anti-blackness.
Yeah.
Albus
And I,
and Benji.
yeah. No, and I understand that
I
feeling, but I
understand.
definitely feel like, especially if it's for younger readers, contextualizing that colorism, particularly because your books tend to have like female characters, particularly young black girls are experiencing, but may not realizing they're experiencing it, right? Can be very like I mean, I say this for a lot of books that I read, but I definitely wish I had that as a young, like, the daughter of Ghanaian immigrants growing up in Houston. I definitely needed that. Anyway, uh, so that actually, wow, I didn't send you the questions, but you're teeing us up so beautifully. So the next question, and you kind of speak to this, Marisol and Genevieve both navigate what I call like a kind of cultural dysmorphia. So one being the child of immigrants and like actually kind of being an immigrant herself, and the others you said not only being biracial, but being biracial and raised by two like white parents, right? As a writer, how did you feel those that these are key traits for the characters?
Uh, so there's different directions I could have gone with this. I could have been, they are essentially two black girls, but one is half white and being raised by a white father and a white stepmom, like you said. I really wanted to, I wanted to say something about skins, and I wasn't ready to make it intracultural just yet, because that could be very sensitive. I wanted to just highlight proximity to whiteness, right? In skin, not just like lighter skin, but just the skin that gives you proximity to power. And this is a story about power. Who has power, who seeks power, who can seek out vengeance, within the bodies of these two teen girls. So it wasn't just about two black girls who can be oppressed in this story. It is two black girls, but one is closer to that power, than the other. You have a newcomer, and then while, one was conceived on the islands and probably born on the islands, I won't give anything away, but her, by virtue of having these two white caretakers and living in a wealthy home and having this sort of privilege, I wanted to put those two experiences side by side. I can easily have a dark skinned girl, black girl, and a light skinned black girl, both poor. There's only certain things I could say about their experiences out in the real world, but I just wanted them to be almost polar opposite without having a completely white character versus a black character.
Mhm, mhm. I love that. I love that. Oh, oops. That should be your question.
Oh, that was Kia's question.
No, no, no. I'm sorry. Key and I have the script, but
Okay.
I messed up in the script, so I was like, wait, what's happening? But it's because I looked at my
Oh,
list.
okay. Evie, would you read an excerpt of your choice?
Oh yes.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
my
because you say
goodness.
your
Where's
book
my
was
book?
not close.
You're gonna have to see this bookshelf for a little bit while I step out.
Ah,
Just
what?
enjoy.
Oh my God. And you can also ask the next question after Evie reads the excerpt.
Okay. I got a whole bunch here. This bookshelf is like are like close to the floor, so I'm sitting on the floor. And this is
No,
my
I think
YA section.
because it was so different because when I thought like the wall was far back, like something about depth perception, and you stood up, and I was like, oh, it's so different than what I thought was happening. So yeah, but I still
Oh
love
my
it. I
God, did you
absolutely
see
love
my booty? Sorry, y'all.
it.
You know, I will read, let me see. I'll read there's so the thing about this is that while this is dual narrative, one character one character is to the right and the other character is to the left. And something happens in the third part. I won't give it away, and they kind of merge. But in the center of it all is this mother figure who is trying to impart wisdom. But I didn't share with you, I watched this movie that gave me some of the ideas in for this book. It was Beloved.
Oh,
So remember Beloved and the two sisters? They look different.
yeah.
But so one daughter comes back, and the mother treats her very differently. And that's the dichotomy, that whole moment, it's an inspiration for this book. And I never really shared that with anybody. I get my ideas from different places, but I needed a mother. I'm not giving it away anyway. I needed a mother-daughter dynamic. I needed to see it on the screen of how that would feel, right? How that would feel and we know all these things. This almost was a retelling of folk tale Snow White and Rose Red. There's a story. The Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but there's also another story called Snow White, Red. A mother, two girls. One is blonde, blue-eyed. The other one is dark-haired, with brown eyes, and they're two different stories. One is fair, the other one is as in fair, as in good witch, bad witch. Another thing that when I was talking about this book during touring, I talked about Galinda and Alphaba. And I'm like, who's Galinda? Who's Alphaba? Who's the good witch? Who's the bad witch? Another thing I did with this book is the doll test, the 1947 doll test. If you're not familiar with that, or a black doctor needed to prove the effects of racism on black children, and he put up a white doll and a black doll. Which one is the good doll? Which one is the good girl? Which one? And I'd ask like this: who has the boyfriend? Who's more popular? Who's more inclined to take a selfie? Who's all these questions to play up this idea of pretty privilege. And in this story, it's not so much the girls who are doing this to each other, it's what society puts on them. Um, and a huge factor is a mother figure here who plays into that. One is afforded a better life, because, and the other is not. I'll read this. This is the mother saying this to her daughter, and it's called Monster. Remember, my daughter, no good, no evil, only consequence. Our mother's voice echoes across the sky as if she is already up here with us. If you focus on the hunger, you will aim for anyone to satiate it. But if you focus on the hurt, you will aim for its source. Feed the pain so that it can fuel your rage and launch you even higher to kiss the sun. And do not ever turn to see your reflection in the mirror. I'm not doing no Caribbean accent right now, but imagine her with a Caribbean accent. But for the most part, it's a cautionary tale. Like it is, don't look in the mirror to see yourself. I add layers to this and hope readers will get it, but it's this idea of mirrors. And there's a poem in here that's called Mirror, and the lines kind of mirror each other, but the two different girls are saying the same things in some lines, but different things on other lines. They have similar experiences, just like they have very similar faces, but their reality in the world is very different as well.
Did you actually do that test while on tour? Like, who has a boyfriend, who's popular, who's more likely to take a
Yeah,
selfie?
but I didn't have them answer. I just,
Okay. I was like, my heart was like, oh, yeah. Okay.
I asked those questions, but I didn't have them answer. But the best, in part of touring, I do some school visits. I had a very great school visit, some unexpected responses, and it ended up being a lot of South Asian children who resonated with this book. And the conversation that came out of it was mind blowing. And I'm thinking, okay, this is Caribbean, but I'm like, oh, of course, South Asian culture, like they deal with that. They had so much to say about this idea and were excited about reading it. And this is a global phenomena. And I don't get to say that very much. And unfortunately, this be like Caribbean folklore, but I can't give it away. I can't give like the whole thing away, but it's a global phenomena. This the pretty hierarchy. How do we play into that? How do the girls deal with that? And the thing is, I didn't tie this in a neat bow. Um, while I was like writing this, I was watching like old Black Mirror episodes too. None of those episodes inspired this, but I realized like some of those episodes are not satisfying. The ending are not solid. They're just like, oh snap, like what? You just left there like, and then you have to think back about, of how we got there. You got to really think. I wanted that sort of just like, you're left hanging. You kind of want more. You're wondering. I am at a place where I feel like I can tell the story the way I want to. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, that's fine. I'm not I'm not like trying to get fans, creating a fandom. I want to tell the story I want to tell. And the ending is what it is, because they're teenagers, What would you do as a teenager? And I watch my daughters. I have two daughters who are 2 years apart, just like Marisol and Genevieve. And the thing that they argue most about is clothes.
Sure.
They want to try each other's, like this will look better on me. This will look, and I'm like, this is two girls fighting about clothes, and if you and I just finished like braiding some of their hair. They wanted like the squiggly lines and everything like that. And they kind of just like do that on me, but I like mine. But can we switch it? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't give it away.
No,
No,
but
maybe
I
not.
don't think you gave it away. But it's like those of us who read it, it's like, okay, okay, I see.
Just giving you more context, like
Yes,
And I think
yes,
what's
I
coming
love
up for me
it.
is like, wow, I would love to be like, I was like, oh, those school visits sound brilliant. And like there are a lot of South Asians in like where I live in California, but there conversations about black, like the nuances of black culture are very different here in Northern California than they are in like, say, the South or say like in New York or Philadelphia or DC. So I'm just like, oh, like where can we have that conversation? I was like, I need to recommend this for the West Oakland Book Club because that would be a good space to have. So I think that's what. So I don't think you felt like you gave it away. Like I really appreciate it. So
right.
I'll stop there.
I'm not on live. I'm telling my friends to go on live, and they don't see it. No, I'm not. Does it
Okay,
show up on
so
my thing?
it should show up on, to my understanding, it should show up on your Instagram, and they should like when they go to
The
your Instagram,
circle.
there should be like a circle, and then they click it to watch the
Okay.
live. If they don't see it there, they
Okay. I begin text like we don't see it.
let it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's to my understanding the way the lives work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I
But
usually like on your main Insta. like say your timeline at the top, usually if your friends are live, they're the first like story circle as
Okay.
well. And it's like
Yeah,
spinning
I don't
showing
see
a live.
myself. Okay.
But you can also like click on your page and then they can click on your profile, like the
Yeah,
profile pic.
but
Okay.
I guess
I don't know.
I don't see it around the thing around your thing. I just checked.
Okay.
I think you have to be made a host. I thought you were automatically a host when you joined. That's so fascinating. Let's see if that's the issue. Um, yeah, I thought yeah, I thought you were already a host, but maybe send them to the Sister Sci-Fi site. We are live here.
Okay. Okay. So, oh, if it was mine, I think I'd have people because I was telling people. Okay. But it's not showing up. Oh, well, hopefully it'll live on your page, or
Yes,
if you
it'll be
just
on
tag
my
me or
page. It'll be
collaborate or
posted.
whatever.
Yeah. We'll post it to YouTube. And what we'll do for this, once we post it to YouTube, we'll include the link to this conversation in our next email blast, which either the one that comes out Monday or the following Monday.
Okay, that's great. But either way, I'm having a good time. Thank you.
Yay.
Okay, so our next question, on page 138, the reader seeing Lord, her effect on Genevieve, which is almost his own character in the book. So
I'm
Genevieve's
sorry, Jennifer's skin.
superpower, skin,
Jennifer's
yes,
skin.
skin. Um, Genevieve's superpower of being a soucouyant is tied to a great deal of discomfort. What do you want the reader to take away from that?
Oh man, let me think about that. That's a great question. Um, Discomfort, huh? I think her powers are nascent. She's just coming into her powers. I have an answer for that because I was thinking about why I wrote her like that. She Marisol had someone to usher her into this transition. Her mother knew what herbs, what things to like ease the pain, and Genevieve does not have anybody to usher her into this transition. And here comes somebody offering a healing balm. And I think I'm trying to make a statement about those things that are part of our culture, those things that happen to our bodies that are natural, like our cycles, and how we have lost those remedies, right? Like think of childbirth. We have lost those remedies our grandmothers, great grandmothers had. The roots, the teas, the salves, the balms to help us usher to into our next phase of life. And it doesn't have to be anything having to do with the woman's body. I'm thinking of the changes. I'm in my 40s, and there's a lot of conversation happening about perimenopause. And I'm like, why? You ain't never told me this. But culturally, there are things that women did. We had our herbs. So this is what's happening things are happening. There's no one around to tell her why and how, and this is what you need to do. And this is a metaphor for anything. I'm thinking, and the whole skin shedding idea every new phase of the moon is our cycle. It's their cycle, and we shed every month. So the soucouyant in this story shed every month as well. And this is another place I moved away from tradition. Soucouyant don't do anything. In the stories it's every night, right? And
Mhm.
then it's whenever they feel like it or whatever they do want to do anything. There's no rhyme or reason to this folklore, to these superstition. The folklore does not have a collection of stories where you can say this is what all Sukuyant do. It's whoever you ask, right? But the basic understanding is that Sukuyant sheds her skin. It's usually a woman. There's some basic tenets of the folklore, but the science of it changes from region to region. So, I wouldn't want anybody going into this book and saying that that's not how it go. That's not how Sukuya. I'll be like, you know any? Please send them my way so I could interview them.
Right.
But yeah, it's a metaphor. Everything about fantasy novels, all fantasy, speculative science fiction writers are using metaphor to say something big and small about our world.
Yeah.
No,
And
you definitely. Oh, I
no,
was
go ahead,
like, you
please.
definitely had me side eyeing. I'm a pharmacist, and like when I go
Oh
to the
wow.
Caribbean, so like I like to collect mortar and pestles, and so I'm like looking at my
Oh.
mortar everywhere, like, okay, wait, I'm looking at it differently. Like, I just came back from Bahamas and I got one there, and I'm like, oh wow. I just loved how that tied into the story and her eczema. So I was eating this up.
And the mortar and pestle is like something that women use, right? In the West, a witch, what is she, how does she fly at night? On her broom, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are all things like elder women will use a mortar and pestle, a cauldron, a black cauldron, uh, a broom. You could take anything domestic and
Yes.
Right.
and weaponize it in our folklore.
Yeah.
So I don't know, a vacuum right now, if we were to make it sci-fi, a Roomba could be our witch.
Be like,
So
yeah.
it's just interesting. Yeah, when you mentioned that, I realized, oh yes, these are all domestic items that are in our kitchen, and then because people, and witches were usually like women who were alone, right? Women who live
Yeah.
alone. You're afraid of them. They cooking up something in the kitchen. You don't know what they did, what it is. They're bitter. They're childless, widowed, angry, and our cultures, various cultures, projected all of this into the wisest amongst us, which are which are elder women.
Right, right, right. No, I agree. And for me, like Marisol's discomfort is, uh, for me, a lot of times in superheroes, and what I do is translate that into real life. A lot of times, their source of power is also like something that others them and that they want to run away from, right? Like vampires drink blood, but it also makes them immortal, right? And like, what would it be like as opposed to hiding from that, to sit with that and appreciate that? And like, as a Black queer person, I'm like, what is it to like my source of power? I think at my point in my life is being deeply melanated, is being a woman, is being queer, and like to like sit with appreciation about that as opposed to like making that a source of like less than or internalizing some of the phobias. And so when I read Marisol's struggle, I'm like as she becomes more aware, as she deepens her understanding, she increases her sense of power and decreases her discomfort. And that was like a big takeaway for me. So I love that evolution.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, uh, oh, wait, is it? Oh, it is my question. Okay, so sorry. So Micah is not just Marisol's love interest, but
Oh yeah.
also for me a source of like a cultural anchor. What were some of your real life inspirations for his character?
Oh man, when I write, excuse me, when I write my YA novels, I can't help but to reach back to 16-year-old me, right? And some of the experiences that I've had. So I can, like, man, there's so much to say about this. Isn't a book about colorism, but I'm light skinned. I was just telling my kids that I have 4C hair, right? That's that's a slightly different experience being called BDB in high school, right? um that was the 90s. For anybody who's younger, in Martin, the TV show Martin, he would call Pam BDB because her kitchen in the back. So in the 90s I had the short Halle Berry, Tony Braxton haircut, and when your perms start growing out and you had the relaxer and the back is short, so the texture's different. Some of the cruelest things that were said to me just because the texture in the back of my hair were from the boys. Were from the boys calling me B to B, They doing this, and it was all about, it wasn't my complexion, it was my hair wasn't flowing down my back. And in my own family, like I remember relatives just being like perplexed at the texture of my hair, because the idea, and though they said it in very different ways, was that I was a waste of a light skin, right? Because the complexion didn't match the texture.
Yeah.
We have the language for that now. It was texturism. And there's always this pecking order. Growing up, there was always this sort of, and I grew up in a very diverse space. So while, in elementary school, while we were all immigrants, I grew up around Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, right? So if you look at the hierarchy of black and brown kids in one school, who is at the top and who is at the bottom? And then I went to a mostly white Catholic school, but the kids of color hung like were tight. And even amongst the kids of color, you had a hierarchy too. So in the 90s, like I went to a wealthy Catholic school, right? My mother scraped to get me there. But how you dress, because we were in Catholic, we wore a uniform, but we could wear any shirt that we had. We could wear any collared shirt. And back then it was a Hilfiger shirt or a Nautica shirt, the brand name shirts. And the flyest dressers in my high school were the Filipina girls. For whatever reason, they had the asymmetrical haircuts and the bamboo earrings and the dark lipsticks. You couldn't tell them anything. So who were the black boys going for? You know what I mean? Like they were going for the Latina girls and the Filipino girls who dressed fly, and you saw the hierarchy amongst the girls. And and I started, like, I paid attention to that. Like it was just a little bit closer. You could always be a little closer to whiteness, right? If it's not your complexion, it's the hair. If it's not the complexion hair, it's the features. So in that sense, like it was the biggest thing in my, like, that was a thing in high school, because I grew up around different types of girls. And it's always stuck with me, because I went to high school with DJ Envy of the Breakfast Club.
Oh,
Yeah, same class and everything. If I had my yearbook, I would show him to you. And his wife was the grade below us, and she was a mixed race girl. So these were the cute boys, the cute black boys were going for the racially ambiguous girls. And as I'm like became a mother, I'm raising brown skinned girls with 4C hair. And while I instilled in them a sense of pride, it is still an uphill battle for them to love the way their hair grows out their head, and they do. But it's work on my part in being intentional about every single thing. So if I say that I am pushing back against white supremacy, it's not just an ideology. It's not just like police brutality or systemic racism. It's how I uphold that in my household, right? Like, I want my daughters to see that I could rock a baldy, no biggie. I could rock little baby twists or whatever. And for me, it's a choice to, like, you will never see me with braids hanging down. That's me. Like, it just bothers me. It makes me hot. But I need my daughters to see that I could change my look and still be confident, and their father, my husband, could love up on me still with a baldy. So all of that to say, it's because of the things that I heard, experienced growing up as a Haitian, and just being that pecking order. If mind you, I'm light skinned, but you Haitian. You light skinned, but why your hair so? You got this much hair. You know, you light skinned, but your nose. There was always something, and I can't blame the kids. I have to blame society. So I bring some of those elements into skin, where I'm seeing what's happening to the kids who were Haitian like me. But some people, they will say that I don't look Haitian, but they would look Haitian. And I would feel protective of my Haitian brothers and sisters who did look according to our friends, the kids in the classroom who did look Haitian. And I'm like, why? We're both Haitian. I'm going to be protective of that newcomer who, has all the trappings of being a newcomer. So it's just my personal experiences. If even if it's not me dealing, like not me being like a dark skinned person, it's all the ways in which anti-blackness shows up on the body. So it's if it's not one thing, it's the other. I think I
Yeah,
answered your question, right?
you did, no, and thank you for that. Yeah,
That's a
I
long-winded
do.
question because I don't often get interviewed by black, people. Not often, not often. And I don't get to like wax poetic about the hows and whys of my books.
That's, I mean, like, thank you for that because I'm like, Ibi Zoboi,
That's
you
it.
get interviewed by everybody. I don't know. I was like, I don't, and so like, it gives me like a perverse sense of joy to be one of the few. I don't know, like not like a raisin in the oatmeal, but like one of the few opportunities to be like for like Key and I to have this conversation and sit at the intersection of like Black culture and speculative fiction, right? Um, and to like have that and like I'm getting better and like it'll be accessible like right now for people to drop in questions, but also like available on YouTube, right? So for people to like read the book and also get this additional context and like understand like how you are holding the reader, which is so important and like racism, institutional racism suck, but also like a lot of people of color, a lot of Black people are struggling with how that issue is internalized, which can be toxic on so many levels, right? And literature is a way to heal from, at least at very least to see it.
Hmm.
And in its truest form, it looks like that's this to heal from it. So
Hmm. Hmm.
anyway,
And the ending, like I remember asking a young person if you had this opportunity to look different, you know, how would you look? And this is from my work with young girls for many years. I remember just one summer when just dealing with what happened. What
No, it's like just thinking about it, like, oh man.
I asked so candidly, it was doing like it wasn't healing work, it's just like writing, like writing, creative writing workshops. If you could look any way that you want, who would you look like? And I'll never forget, we got they were all hype, and I'm like, oh. You want to hype it up? Yes, she works hard, but then if you peel away at the layers, these are all like brown skinned, beautiful girls, and it's like at 10, 11, 12, 13, all the way up to 17, like, hey, like if you had, I don't want that to be a thing, but it's coming up in different ways. And I didn't ask that out the blue. I didn't ask that out the blue at all. This is just conversations. Like, wait a minute. Okay, so if you could look, who would you, and if you ask those deep questions without judgment, it's very revealing. It's very revealing, and it's without judgment. It's without judgment, and if there's any little bit of judgment on my part as an older person, I'm only thinking of Malcolm X's speech, "Who taught you to hate yourself?"
right.
That's the only thing. You can't blame the girls. It's like, who taught you to hate yourself? And I remember saying to them, like, damn, you don't have to wait for college to either go to an HBCU or take a Black Studies class to start loving your, that's what usually happens for a lot of people. When they start reading in college or after college, like, wait a minute, I could grow natural, that sort of thing. And it's not, you don't have to go natural or anything like that. It's just to start asking those questions about society, even if you're not able to go there on your own personally. Ask yourself, what sort of images of beauty are being pushed on me, you know?
And that's so, and I think the reason why I covered my face is like, had you asked me that question between 10 and 17. I don't know if I would have said somebody like
Hmm.
Beyonce. Um, the most where I would have been is like Naomi Campbell, but like still like that's problematic in and of itself. But I definitely wanted to be shorter. I wanted to be lighter. I wanted to have light eyes. I was deeply until I went to college, and then I was like, oh, I studied African American studies. I was like the total cliche, and then I cut my hair because I had braids and then a perm and then weave. I grew up in the South, so yes, you're thinking you're writing for 15-year-old
Hmm.
Isis who definitely
Right,
needed
right.
help.
And how
Um,
about you, Kia? Did it resonate with you?
Yes, because I was thinking the same. Like when you made that face, that's why I was like, I can totally relate
Hmm.
because somebody other than myself, but now I'm gonna be like me, but
Hmm.
smaller, but
Yeah. Right,
but
right, right.
me, and just like talking about the hair. Like I remember like growing up, like having the perm hair down my back
Hmm.
and going natural. Like why would you do that? Why would you? Mm-mm. And then locking my hair. Like why would you do that? Like
Yeah.
from your own people. It's just
From yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And I remember there was like I don't mean to bring Nicki Minaj, but when you say you had long hair, there was an interview of Nicki Minaj saying that she had long hair in high school. And when she said this is very New York. I'm New York City. If you had long, you had to braid it and tuck it in. You had to like tuck it in, and them girls were coming for you. Them girls were
Oh, like out
wow.
of
Their girls were coming
jealousy.
for, and so it's another, it's both sides. You can't be too short, you
Oh.
can't be too long. You had to go. So a story, and she told this story. This is not my story to tell, but they're public personas now. But DJ Envy's girlfriend at the time, the big thing that happened at our high school is that she got slashed across the face. She got a buck 50 across the face, and very fair skinned woman. And the whole thing in our high school, it was some girls from another high school was like, she thinks she cute. She thinks she cute. And she's talked about this before on their podcasts. And you had like, if you were too pretty, you know what I mean? Putting Vaseline on your face so you don't get a buck 50. We called it a buck 50. That's how hood I am. But a buck 50, because if it's a slash that goes here, you would need 150 stitches to close it. Yeah. Oh, I'm saying too much.
No, no,
No,
no, because
I mean
I
I
think
grew
a
up in
buck
the South
50.
as
It's like it's the
well.
angle
So
and it's the degree. Because this would be I don't. I was so thank
It's
you. I was.
about you go. You go, so it was a thing when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s. You either had to put on a tough persona, either you were too. So it's the context is that this is lived experience. It may not be personal, but it was part of my cultural upbringing where you are a girl living in a certain community. There are ways in which you have to navigate the spaces based on how you look.
Right.
So all that to say, like, this is just like when you said you had, look, you couldn't be too cute. You know what I mean? You could be too cute, and you couldn't be the opposite of cute. So, you just had to like could be you just have to be regular black, regular.
But okay, so we're a little over, and I want to be respectful of time. Key, was there a question you wanted to ask? If not, I'm going to transition to this or that.
I wanted to know your question about what books do you feel that Skin is in conversation with because I want to read them.
So there are many different ways you could approach the pretty privilege conversation, right? One of my favorite books, just a girl struggling with being in her own body and the circumstances that her parents created, is Genesis Begins Again by Alicia D. Williams. It's not speculative fiction. I'm sorry.
No.
It's middle grade, and it's so beautiful in how Alicia Williams just wrote this girl contending with everything about her. Just very tender and beautifully done. Skin Folk by Nalo Hopkinson is about Skin folk, soucouyant, different stories. And it's a short story collection. I wrote, I don't have it with me, a very early version of a old Buhag story is in Dark Matter, Reading the Bones
Okay.
by Cherie Renee Thomas. It's a collection of short stories by other writers, and I'm in that book on page 150 with my
Okay.
short story. Reading the My short story is called Old Flesh Song. So it's a Buhag character who's a nanny, who was a former nanny, and she gets her energy source from the babies. And interestingly enough, I think I was on your page just now, when before we started, and I saw you posted K. Ibora's book, Tempest, which is this is not, yes, purchase the book, but K. Ibora was my classmate at the Clarion workshop where I studied with Butler and Nalo Hopkinson. I workshopped that story in Dark Matter called Old Flesh Song. So in the beginning of the story, I'm describing like in sort of like an African nanny, right? Who's disgruntled and she's trying to get her fix from the babies. But there's another nanny who comes to save the day. It's a Latina nanny. And it was Kay Ubura who called me out and was like, be careful of that good witch, bad witch dynamic. You have this nanny saving the day, and she's Latina versus this African nanny. Now, I could have been like, no, girl, you trying to sabotage my career. No, I was not like that at all. My first reaction was like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I did that. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to change it, so it is how it is in the book. But this is one example of another writer pulling me aside and just letting me know here is where we can perpetuate those things, right? Just be mindful of that. And I'll never forget that. This was in 2001, and I'll never forget that conversation. And it takes a certain kind of wherewithal for you to notice this. And even with this book, Skin, I'm careful. I started out, my editor moved to another house. So I ended up having a Black woman editor and asking her, okay, is this okay? What is this real? What is this saying? Stay true to the character and what she would do at the same time. Don't make it too didactic, like I don't want to be like love your skin at the end of it. It's more like there's some moments where like, oh, I am pretty, but let me try this on for a little bit. Let me see.
Like we switch a hairstyle. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yep.
I love it. I dropped all the links, EB, that you mentioned. I dropped links to all the books that you mentioned in the chat.
Oh, wonderful,
Um,
thank you.
Pretty sure I got them all. And if they weren't available on Sister Sci-Fi, I dropped the bookshop.org link. Yay! I'm so happy you asked that question, Key. So I was like, yeah, how are we gonna feel about that question? I don't know, but that was terrific. I'm so glad we asked. Um, okay, so now in the last couple minutes, we're going to do yes, I'm reading Diary of a Firebird's comment. Diary of the Fire is also based in New York. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so we're going to do my second favorite part of the live. My first favorite part is everything we've been doing so far. Some of the questions will sound familiar because I'm recycling questions. I decided like I need to get a new set of questions once a month or once a year, but I'm not there yet. Okay. And you can, everything is optional. So, first question, Brooklyn or the Bronx?
Brooklyn.
Um,
Brooklyn.
if
Oh my
you're
God.
watching, you can drop the question in the chat. I had to say Brooklyn, even though I lived in the Bronx for a long time, and my parents are from Ghana, and like 90, this is bad anecdotal information. 90% of the Ghanaians I met while living in New York all lived in the Bronx, but
Yep, I know. I know. I sometimes will get, you get some fabric and some dresses made in the Bronx by the tailors up there. But the Caribbeans are in Brooklyn.
yes, and so that's my vote as well. Key? do you want to chime in?
I've only been to Brooklyn. I haven't been to the Bronx
Oh, that's
though.
right. That's right. You said that last time. We got to get you to the Bronx so you can answer this
I
question.
know. I need to.
Next question: Janelle Monáe or Erica Badu?
Oh man. Oh, Erica Badu, late 90s. Erica Badu.
Okay, 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 okay.
Erica Badu. I love Janelle Monáe, MySpace era, because that's when I discovered her.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I'm an
same,
alien from
same.
outer space. Yeah, when
Yeah,
black and white suit era Monet, Janelle Monáe. Wonderland. Was this called?
yeah,
Era when she had the pompadour
yeah,
and tuxedo era. Um, Janelle Monáe.
yeah.
This iteration, I'm not feeling too much.
I feel the same way. And somebody's like, but then I listened to Flow, and I was like,
It's
I
these
do
days
like,
I
so
yeah.
feel when I hear
good.
that song, just like makes my heart sing. I was like, it just makes me want to lean back. I was just like, so I hear you, because when she was like the age of pleasure, I was like, pleasure for who? But when I listen to Flow, it like I think I'm just like, especially with things going on politically. If I can
Mhm.
wave a wand and make one thing happen, and I know people are going to be like, this is hella selfish, and I know it is, I just want rest and ease for Black women.
Oh
Because we
yeah,
be doing the
justice. Yeah.
absolute most. And I feel like the song Float is so aligned with that. Just like, be easy, live your soft girl life. Anyway, so I think today I'll go with Janelle Monáe. This is a relatively revised question. Sinners or Get Out?
Oh, sinners all the way.
Wow. It has to be sinners, but wow. Okay. New question. Okay.
New question, next question. Okay. This is a repeat question as well. Octavia Butler or Toni Morrison?
Butler, Octavia Butler, my birthday twin.
Oh,
Yes.
right, right.
And I'm
He like,
making
I read a book
personal
on this woman.
choices. I'm making going back to the Erica Badu, Janelle Monáe. Erica Badu saved my life. Just seeing her. I'm coming out of college. I'm coming out of high school during the shiny suit era, Puff Daddy, Bad Boy, Lil Pimp era. Like everything is like Freak Dick, and you had Lil Kim sitting on the album cover with her, everything out, and I just wanted to cover up, right? And Erica Badu let us know that it was okay to cover up from head to toe.
Right.
And you're like, now the girlies are calling them earthy girl aesthetic. She gave me permission to wear a floor length skirt.
Yes, yes,
And she gave me permission to shave my head bald. And she, all these
Yes.
things. Yeah.
yes.
So,
I mean, Erica Badu is like the quintessential Brooklyn sister. Like the feather earrings when we're wearing the feather earrings and like the African print on head
Mhm.
wrap and like just being weirdly yourself. And
yeah.
I 100% agree with that. So,
Yeah. She spoke to a large number of us who, and even my daughter just now, they wearing their head wraps, now this it's an aesthetic that has not left us. And I'm so happy
Mhm.
because of that.
so yeah. Um, Beauty and a Book Retreat says yes. Um, I know you're like, well, I should stop selling things. Beauty and Book Retreat hosts amazing literary theme book tours around the world. I, I've been doing a very poor job, but Sister Sci-Fi is helping promoting the Ghana trip. But yeah, so that's coming, I think, in 2026. Last question, Black Lightning or Luke Cage?
Hmm. Luke Cage.
I knew you would say Luke Cage because it's a
Because I
decoy.
watched it. I watched more episodes of Luke Cage than I did Black Lightning.
That's fair. That's fair.
I love the storyline in Black Lightning, but I was rooting for Luke Cage. And then they
Yeah,
canceled the show.
yeah, yeah. Black, Black Light. I say Black Lightning because he has a family of Black women, like his
I do
wife.
remember that. Yes, yes, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I did not watch enough episodes of Black Lightning.
yeah. I appreciate. I love the fact that like he was like a teacher slash principal. He was
You know what?
really.
I might change my answer. Yeah.
I'm not trying to convince you to change your answer. Yeah, I'm
I
definitely
remember the
thinking
two
Black Lightning.
sisters in Black Lightning. Yeah,
Yes.
okay, okay. Yeah, there was more of like more depth and heft to the storyline, but I just didn't watch enough episodes. I don't know what I was doing. I was writing my books.
Which is fair. Which is fair. People are like, I'm like, why haven't you? And like somebody was like, I was writing books. What were you doing? And I was like, oh,
No.
I was watching television. So,
And see, I was reading them, so I'm like, I haven't finished either one of those. Like, oh.
which is fair. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We discussed Skin by Ibi Zoboi. Ibi, I
Thank
cannot
you.
thank you enough for your time, like today, but also like your time and your passion and sharing your craft with the world. I know writing is not easy, so thank you for the gifts that you decide to share with us. It means so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it never showed up on my page, so I don't know what happened. I think
thanks so much.
um but yeah, I think because I'm a third, maybe if I had come in second or something like that.
And I need to check that
Oh,
because I
and I
think
could have left a
Oh no,
message.
no, that's
yeah, and I need to check that because I think I always assume that it shows up on everybody's page. Um, So yeah, let me do some more research on that. So then if there's an order in joining or if there's something else I have to do to make people a host to
mhm.
ensure that it shows up on everybody's Instagram page. Beauty and a Book
Oh,
Retreat says, thank you. My students love Pride. Can't wait to share more of your work. Yay. If your students love Pride, they'll definitely love Skin. So
ooh,
check
very
it out.
different.
Yes, I mean, very different, but yeah,
Brooklyn set, still set in Brooklyn.
yeah.
And I
Yay.
have Pride. I haven't read it yet, but that was the first book of yours that I
Very
bought.
different.
So
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Isis. Thank you, Key.
you.
thank you.
Talk soon.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.